I got the cops called on me for parking on my own ranch. Not trespassing, not blocking a fire lane, just parking my old beat-up F-150 on a chunk of Texas land I've poured half my life into. And believe me, if you think that sounds wild, buckle up, because karma wasn't just watching it, was wearing a badge and calling me Dad by the end of it. This all kicked off on one of those July mornings when the sun's already angry before you even get your coffee down. I'd just finished patching up electrical work at the Johnson farm, dragging myself home after a 12-hour night shift, dirt still clinging to my boots. Pulled up to my mailbox, the same battered box I've checked every morning for 20 years, at the edge of Harrison Ranch, 50 acres of cattle memories and hard-won peace. The cows were lowing out by the fence line engine ticking under the hood, and for a second, everything felt like it always did. Until a white Mercedes practically rammed my tailgate. Out stormed Karen Whitmore, HOA, president of Pinehurst Estates, the subdivision next door where people pay more for green grass than good neighbors. She was already halfway to my window, heels stabbing the gravel, clipboard flapping like she was swatting flies, hollering, "You can't park here. This violates our expanded boundary guidelines." I swear her voice could have set off the neighbors' car alarms. Now Pinehurst is full of folks who'd call Homeland Security if you let your dandelions bloom, and Karen's their queen. I just stood there staring at her like she'd lost her mind. "Ma'am, this is my property. See that sign, Harrison Ranch, established 2005? Bought it with my late wife, Mary. Didn't faze her a bit." She started flipping through paperwork, stabbing at maps and whatnot, yelling that my truck was tanking her property values, that some Resolution 47B or whatever meant the HOA now had jurisdiction over my driveway. I almost laughed, but my blood was boiling. This woman had the nerve to try and rip the sign out of the ground, probably thinking she could yank up 20 years of sweat and heartbreak with it. When that failed, she changed tactics, offered to buy me out. "Sell the ranch to the HOA, or I'll make sure you have to leave anyway." Lady, this was where I scattered Mary's ashes, where I taught my boy Jake to ride, to drive, to stand up for himself. She wasn't taking any of that. So I gave her the classic Texas bless your heart, which if you know it's just polite code for you're out of your mind. Her face turned so red I thought she'd pop a vessel. Next thing, she's dialing 911. Yes. There's a suspicious man refusing to leave the HOA expanded territory. He might be dangerous. I started recording just standing there on my land, calmly texting Jake's son might need you soon. Didn't mention he worked in law enforcement, figured I'd keep that ace in my pocket. Sirens cut through the morning air, and Karen got this look of pure triumph. "You're going to jail for trespassing," she barked, pacing like a prosecutor at closing arguments. Two officers roll up young tired like they'd already had enough HOA drama for 1 week. The younger one, Williams, gives me a subtle nod, but keeps it all business. Karen starts shrieking. "He's threatening me. He's an eyesore. He's ruining our scenic views." They check my papers, read the sign, and Officer Williams finally hands everything back. "Sir, you're clearly on your own property. There's no violation here." But Karen, she won't let it drop. She starts live streaming, ranting about truck terrorism or whatever, and I just point my phone right back at her. Next thing I know, my stream is blowing up 5,000 people watching, folks dropping comments like, "Someone call her manager." The officers warn her about abusing emergency services and roll out. But Karen's back at her Mercedes, typing away. By the next morning, it's not just about a parking spot. She's called the cops again before sunrise, hired a photographer to stalk my property line, created an online group, Pinehurst Against Parking Violations, which somehow gets 300 members in 48 hours. The kicker. She has some poor teenage kid serve me a fine $500 for parking at the wrong angle. I kid you not, she'd measured it herself, said I was 5 degrees off. So I get creative. Valentine's Day every year since Mary passed, I'd set hay bales in a heart in the pasture. Now I park my truck in a heart, too. Next stars, then smiley faces, then I borrow trucks from neighbors, spell out TEXAS across my front yard. Pretty soon, my nightly live stream Parking with Bob is pulling 50,000 viewers. People start sending me their own HOA horror stories, chipping in donations to support parking art, and my little standoff turns into a movement. But when a letter shows up Karen in black and white demanding I sell, calling my ranch a blight on the community, I hold it up on stream. Well, folks, there's the truth. She doesn't want my truck gone, she wants my land. And my viewers start digging. Turns out her Resolution 47B never filed with the county. Just like her concern for property values, it's a fake. Things get weirder. Jake calls, says to bring backup for the next stream. I tease the crowd. Tomorrow you'll meet him. The speculation is wild. But when the morning comes, I outdo myself. 10 pickups borrowed from every friend I've got arranged to spell out my land in 30-foot letters. The sun's not even all the way up before Karen calls the cops, sirens wailing again. Her HOA buddies gathered like she's leading a protest march. And this time, the sheriff's car rumbles down my driveway. Karen sprints up, clipboard out, shouting, "This is parking terrorism." But when the door opens, it's Jake, full uniform badge shining. He steps out, smiles, and says, "Hey, Dad." The world freezes. Karen's jaw hits the ground. You could hear a pin drop, except for my viewers who are losing their minds in the chat. Jake keeps it official, though. We've had 12 calls about my dad parking legally on his own property in the past month. That's a criminal misuse of emergency services. Karen starts sputtering about conflicts of interest, the FBI, whatever, but Jake's already pulled out his phone. Also, Mrs. Whitmore, you've been using HOA funds to create fake land records. That $1.5 million tracked it right to your shell companies. And we've got your friend at City Hall flipping on you. Her whole army just melts away, drone kit and all. The neighbors who came to gawk start clapping. But see, Karen's not the type to admit defeat. 3 days later, I wake up at 2 a.m. to the sound of semis. 5 huge trucks block every gate she's paid them to sit there, says it's legal protest. Only problem is one of the drivers is Tommy Martinez, lost his license last year for insurance fraud. I film everything, document every violation, and Jake calls in favors from the DOT. Pretty soon, Tommy's spilling the beans live on camera. She promised to pay our fines if we got caught. The other truckers scatter. That afternoon, Karen holds an emergency HOA meeting room, packed tension thicker than July humidity. She screeches about my circus ruining the community, but then Patricia Anderson, lifelong Pinehurst resident, stands up. Actually, Karen property values are up 15%, thanks to Bob's ranch. The crowd erupts, but the drama isn't done. A tow truck appears on the security monitor, hooking up my F-150. Karen crows about my rights prevail, but I just stream it all, telling viewers that's a disabled veteran spot. She just made a serious mistake. By midnight, the cops are at Karen's door. My truck's sitting in her driveway right next to her Mercedes. Jake cuffs her for grand theft auto. The tow truck driver calls in crying, apologizing, ready to testify he was duped. My stream's pushing 200,000 viewers by now. Karen, still screaming about HOA rights, gets hauled away in pajamas and slippers, her champagne glass shattering on the porch. 6 weeks later, it's standing room only in the courtroom. Local news streaming, 500,000 people watching. The prosecutor rolls out the Karen calls montage, 12 911 complaints, each dumber than the last. The fake documents, the missing money, the real estate scam, it's all laid bare. The final blow comes when Karen's own daughter Jessica testifies. She called the police on me for parking 5 degrees off angle. Mr. Harrison is a good man. Mom lost her way. Karen breaks down in court screaming about her HOA rights, but the judge isn't having it. 30 minutes of jury deliberation, guilty on all charges, prison restitution restraining order, the works. As she's led away, Karen shouts, "This isn't over. Check Jake's records in Austin. The parking runs in the family, and you can feel the room go tense, one last twist in a story full of them." 6 months pass. The sun's setting on a parking party at my place, 30 trucks and cars spelling out justice in the pasture. Jessica's the new HOA president, her first rule. No 911 calls about parking ever. Karen even sends a letter from prison apologizing, promising she's working on her parallel parking and anger management. The crowd laughs, but it's bittersweet. Maybe she learned something, maybe not. Jake and I sit on the tailgate watching the sky go orange. You know, Dad, he says, I never thought protecting the ranch would mean fighting over parking spaces. I laugh, feeling Mary with us proud. All this started because I wouldn't move my old truck, and now there's a legal fund helping folks stand up to HOA bullies everywhere. Netflix is calling about a documentary, I tell them, sure, as long as they park properly on set. As we head inside, I pause by the new sign at the ranch entrance, parking free and legal since forever. Karen tested community approved. Because sometimes the smallest fights are the ones that bring a whole community together, and you best believe nobody's telling this rancher where he can or can't park his truck ever again. So tell me, where would you have drawn the line? Let me know down below. Is it ever just about parking, or is it about standing your ground when it counts? I'll be reading every comment because out here everyone's story matters.